Why are some in Trump's orbit so eager for these strikes when others are saying, hey, what about America first?
Well, it's the chickenhawk playbook that we saw with Iraq, right, where you had a number of people who never served in the military who were eager to send other people's kids into war. That is not right. To your point, Donald Trump ran on being the guy who ended wars. He's not ended anything thus far, and he seems to be escalating. But I think the biggest problem here is that Donald Trump has no real information. Remember, he doesn't read his presidential daily briefings on a regular basis. So how is he making these decisions in terms of whether or not to move forward and go to war and authorize these military strikes? That's what I would like to know.
Like that. Is this an area with some pretty rare bipartisan agreement? I mean, not among lawmakers necessarily, but among Americans. And should that influence the decision?
I think it is, and it should. This is a failure of leadership by the president. Any other president in this situation should stand up in the East Room and speak to the American people and lay out the threat as he sees it and the reason for this action. To your point, the majority of Americans oppose this because they don't understand what the issue would be, and he's failed to communicate that. I'd also say that the Constitution says that the president has to go to Congress and get an authorization of military force. And the reason for that is that the Congress represents the people, and so the idea is that you'll have buy-in by the people via Congress. He has failed to do that and doesn't seem interested in doing that either. That's also problematic.
How stark is it to hear those concerns? I want you both to quickly answer. Michael, you first.
You know, it's shocking. Members of Congress and really all elected officials are incredibly vulnerable. Most of them don't have a security detail. Members of Congress generally have one or two people, but that's not really enough in terms of the climate we're in. And it starts at the top. I think all these people that are committing these egregious acts against politicians, they're responding to a climate. And the climate has been facilitated by the words of Donald Trump and the actions of Donald Trump. That is not possible if you have a commander-in-chief who comes across as wanting to unify the country. That's not what Donald Trump does, and I think that facilitates this atmosphere of chaos and violence.